to know whose shirt you wear. Now it's time to leave the capsule if you dare.
Hello, Nuclear Nonsense Gamers, and today we're bringing you our review of Alan Wake American Nightmare. And it's Seago here.
And I'm General J.
Alright, so Alan Wake American Nightmare, okay. This does take place after the first game, what is it, a couple years?
2 years after the first Alan Wake, yeah.
Okay. And you played this much more than I have, so I think you should give us a lowdown on it.
Well, basically, it would make a lot more sense if you had played the first Alan Wake, but basically, Alan Wake is trapped in this place called the Dark Place, and he's kind of taking this. But it takes place in this this fictional town called Night Springs, Arizona. Yeah.
Arizona.
And you're trying to navigate the world, trying to fight the villain, which is a duplicate copy of yourself, a dark version of you called Mr. Scratch.
No, it's Mr.
Yeah, because every time someone says Mr. Scratch in the game, it gets kind of cut out. But yeah, it's the basic plot. If you really played the first game, you would really understand a lot more, and even the DLC of how he got to this point. But it's still a good game, I think, even if you haven't played the first one. But it just would make a lot more sense in terms of story.
Now, what I don't understand is, I thought at the end of the second DLC, everything was all fine and dandy again.
I don't know. That is something that kind of bothers me too. The gap in the world. I don't want to give away any spoilers to the end of the game, but something you see after the credits kind of it's something that kind of makes more sense of how it connects with the first part of the game.
Okay. There's one aspect I like about this. They always do live action scenes in this game, which you don't see anymore.
Yes, I think it's also really cool how the live action Alan Wake, they made that to look like the Alan Wake in the game, so they can do a lot live action scenes, and I think that's a very cool part of the story that they put in there.
All right, now we're actually getting to. This is me playing the demo because I do not yet own it.
Okay. It's the start of the game. It's I think they kind of go over how if you've never played Alan Wake or really paid attention to it much, the way the mechanic of fighting the enemies, the dark people called the Taken, they are kind of people possessed by the darkness, and you have to use light to burn away the darkness before they're vulnerable to bullets, pretty much.
It's unique. It's an interesting concept, if you would.
It's a very good way for it's very fun, and it still sticks to that very horror combat kind of sense.
Yeah, this is definitely a very good horror or thriller. It didn't scare me per se, but it was definitely making me go, oh.
Yeah, it's that's something else that kind of bothered me personally. I think that the even the first Alan Wake was maybe the first Alan Wake wasn't as scary, but this one I find was definitely very not scary in terms of story. And I even feel I feel personally kind of let down about the story. Like it really wasn't as good as the first one. But that's my personal thing. It depends really of how much you cared for the story in the last game to base your standards on.
All right, let's move on to something else. Okay, the manuscripts. This game actually kind of nudges you to get them, unlike the first one. It really wasn't that relevant. Now it's like, get these, you get awesome stuff.
Yes, the more manuscripts you find laying around the world, like this one, let's say you need three manuscripts to unlock the submachine gun. That doesn't mean you spend manuscripts. It just means you've had to at least found 3 manuscripts to get this weapon. And it really makes you explore the world in a way, and then you get rewarded for that, which I think is really cool. It's a very good addition. I think it's very cool because there wasn't many weapons in the first one, was there?
No, there's like, what, 3?
Yeah, 3 weapons. There's the flare gun, the shotgun, and the pistol. But
4 rifle.
Yeah, rifle. I mean, they really made some good changes for the combat. I mean, there's more enemy types. There's more different kinds of weapons that play off differently, and I think that's something that really makes the combat and the base gameplay of this a lot more interesting than the first one, which I think is a big plus.
Yeah, you said different types of enemies unlike the first one, and you got the darkness people. I don't remember what they're called.
The ones that split, you mean?
Yeah, the split in half, or half of a half, and they just keep getting weaker.
Yeah, it's like you see this really big guy, but you can kind of he has a certain look of a splitter, and you can either face this really big guy, or if you use the light to try to split him, he will multiply, but he will get weaker. So it's versus one big guy who could really mess you up, or a bunch of little guys who can swarm you very fast.
It's a lose-lose.
Yeah, it's a lose-lose situation. I think they call it the arithmetic of horror, which I think is, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And no, there's more new enemy types. There's one that you remember the birds from the first one, right?
Yeah, the crows.
Well, now there's this new guy. I don't know if you saw him in the demo, but he'll fly around in a flock of crows, and then randomly he will do a surprise attack where all the crows will bunch up and turn into like this bird-like man and try to like come at you very fast. And sometimes before you can even get a shot off on him, he'll turn back into a bird.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah, it's a very ambush type. And then of course there's the grenadier, which throws these weird kind of darkness grenades. I forget, I don't think I had the manuscript where it explained him, but he's very annoying in the arcade levels.
Arcade. Do you want to get into that? You've actually done that.
Oh yes. You get to play this in the demo too. I don't know. Have you played this in
Yes.
the demo? Okay. Well, there's a new game mode called Fight Till Dawn. It's like a 10-minute. You got 10 minutes to survive increasingly difficult waves of Taken, and you can. It's pretty much that. It's a survival mode, and it's actually very fun, and it gets very scary sometimes in nightmare mode where they just swarm you crazy.
Talking to this lady, does she play a big role in the story? Is she significant?
You will find that she's the significant character for this section of the world, and
That's right. You get multiple sections of the world to go to, don't you?
Well, not multiple sections of the world. I mean, like, there's three different, not three different. Well, I mean, there's more areas than this one, of course, but she's the most significant one of this.
Okay, I think I got you. This is me. What am I doing? I gotta look for those 3 parts. I don't even understand why you had to gather them necessarily.
Well, it's once again, if you played the first one a lot more and really paid attention to stuff, you'd notice how the rewriting reality thing kind of makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, I like this guy. Mr.
Yeah, this is the villain, the antagonist, which is you, and I really like how there's TVs and radios in the story that you can really get more in depth in the story if you want. And he's a very bad man.
Very bad, but he's you.
Yeah, if did I already explain what he is? He's the dark.
Yeah, he's the
of all the bad stories.
Which I still understand. I thought you beat yourself in the first Alan Wake.
Yeah, but this is different. It's just like this is when Alan Wake disappeared. All the stories, all the negative. Wow, Alan Wake must have been crazy. All those stories that people talked about that didn't really know him, it actually like came alive out of Cauldron Lake, and what came out of him is the dark person called Mr. Scratch.
Shh.
Yeah, but so do you want to give a final verdict of
Yes.
what you think?
Just from the demo alone, I think I'd personally love this, but you've actually gotten more in depth, so what's your verdict on it?
I played the entire story, and the way I can see it is like this. If you have never played an Alan Wake game before, you're honestly a lot better off getting the first one. It's probably cheaper by now. You get a lot better Alan Wake experience. But if you're a veteran, if you're a fan of Alan Wake, it's only $15. It's a really good price. The new Fight Till Dawn game mode is fun, but you may be a little bit let down by the story depending on who you are. But it's only $15, and I think it's a good deal.
All right, so that's it then.
Yep, that's it. Alan Wake, American Nightmare. The end.
The end.
So quiet.